In 1966, a plane worth more than $1 billion in today's money collided with a much smaller jet in the skies over California. And it wasn't an accident of bad luck. It happened during a photo shoot, a publicity stunt. The plane was called the XB-70 Valkyrie, and by the time it broke apart in midair, it had already been killed once before. Not by a crash, but by a memo. This is the story of the fastest bomber ever built for the United States Air Force. A plane designed to outrun anything the Soviet Union could put in the sky. And how it became obsolete before it ever left the ground. And how the second of only two ever built didn't die from enemy fire or mechanical failure, but from getting too close to another aircraft during a magazine photo shoot. To understand why the Valkyrie existed, you have to understand the fear that built it. By the late 1950s, American nuclear strategy rested on one idea. If the Soviets ever launched a first strike, U.S. bombers had to be able to reach Soviet territory and strike back. But Soviet air defenses were getting better fast. New radar networks, faster interceptor jets, and by 1957, something that changed everything: the surface-to-air missile. The B-52, America's main bomber, flew high and relatively slow, around 550 miles per hour. Against a modern SAM, that wasn't fast enough anymore. The Air Force needed an answer, and their answer was audacious. Build a bomber that couldn't be caught. Not by flying low and sneaking under radar, but by flying so high and so fast that nothing could intercept it at all. The target: Mach 3. Over 2,000 miles per hour, cruising at 70,000 feet, above where most fighters and missiles of the era could even operate effectively. North American Aviation, the company that built the P-51 Mustang and the X-15 rocket plane, won the contract. What they designed looked less like a bomber and more like a spacecraft with wings. The Valkyrie was 185 feet long, longer than a Boeing 737, but built to survive temperatures that would melt most aircraft. At Mach 3, air friction alone heats the skin of an aircraft past 600 degrees Fahrenheit. So engineers built the plane's skin from stainless steel honeycomb panels, brazed together in a process so difficult that entire panels had to be scrapped and rebuilt when the process failed, which was often. The most radical feature was the wingtips. They folded downward in flight, up to 65 degrees, trapping the shock wave the plane generated at supersonic speed underneath the aircraft. This wasn't decoration. It was a phenomenon called compression lift. The plane was designed to surf on its own sonic boom, gaining extra lift for free at high speed. It's an idea that sounds almost too strange to be real, and to this day, no other aircraft has used it in the same way. 6 enormous engines, mounted in a single duct under the fuselage, could push the aircraft to Mach 3.1, over 2,056 miles per hour, more than 3 times the speed of sound. On paper, it was the answer to everything the Air Force feared. Here's the twist. While North American Aviation spent years solving problems nobody had solved before, the entire premise of the aircraft quietly stopped making sense. On May 1st, 1960, a Soviet surface-to-air missile shot down Francis Gary Powers' U-2 spy plane, flying at over 70,000 feet, the same altitude the Valkyrie was designed to cruise at. If a missile could reach that high, then flying high and fast wasn't a defense anymore. It was just a bigger target with a longer flight time to get hit. At the same time, intercontinental ballistic missiles were maturing fast. An ICBM could deliver a warhead in around 30 minutes. No pilot required, no risk of being shot down mid-mission. Why spend a fortune on a manned bomber that a single missile could bring down, when unmanned missiles could do the job faster and cheaper? In 1961, incoming Secretary of Defense Robert McNamara made the call that effectively killed the program. The Valkyrie would not go into production. Not because it didn't work, testing would later prove it flew beautifully, but because the strategic logic that justified building it no longer existed. 2 prototypes would still be built, but purely for research. $1 billion answer to a question the world had already stopped asking. The 2 remaining Valkyries flew on as experimental research aircraft through the mid-1960s, gathering data on supersonic flight for NASA and the Air Force. And on June 8, 1966, the second prototype, Air Vehicle 2, was scheduled for something almost routine: a formation flight for a promotional photo shoot, arranged by General Electric. which built the engines for several of the aircraft involved. 5 planes flew in tight formation for the cameras: the Valkyrie, a F-4 Phantom, a T-38 Talon, an F-5, and an F-104 Starfighter, flown by legendary test pilot Joe Walker, one of only 12 people to have flown the X-15 to the edge of space. During the shoot, Walker's F-104 drifted too close to the Valkyrie's right wingtip. The Valkyrie's massive wake turbulence, invisible violent air rolling off a plane that size, caught the smaller jet and flipped it into the Valkyrie's tail. The F-104 disintegrated instantly, killing Walker. The Valkyrie, missing part of its tail and one wing, spun for several seconds before breaking apart and crashing into the desert. The pilot, Al White, ejected and survived with serious injuries. The co-pilot, Carl Cross, was killed. His ejection seat couldn't fire in time. In about 16 seconds, one of only 2 Mach 3 bombers ever built was gone. Not because of enemy action, not because of a design flaw at Mach 3, but because of wake turbulence during a photo op that never needed to happen. The sole surviving Valkyrie, Air Vehicle 1, flew a handful more research flights before being retired in 1969. It sits today in the National Museum of the United States Air Force in Dayton, Ohio, the only one left of a program that once represented the most extreme edge of what aviation engineering could achieve. But the Valkyrie's ideas didn't disappear. Compression lift, high-temperature titanium and steel construction, and lessons from sustained Mach 3 flight fed directly into later programs, including, indirectly, the supersonic transport studies of the 1960s and 70s, and decades of high-speed flight research still referenced today. The XB-70 is a strange kind of monument, proof that a piece of engineering can be a total success and a total failure at the same time. It flew faster and higher than almost anything built before it, and it never fired a shot, never entered service, and ended its life falling out of the sky during a photograph nobody remembers the reason for. The Valkyrie wasn't the only aircraft killed by a world that changed faster than engineering could keep up. If you want the next one, a bomber, a fighter, or a spacecraft that almost changed everything, subscribe, because that's exactly what this channel covers. What canceled aircraft do you want covered next? Drop it in the comments.